When an 8-year-old boy stumbles into a biker bar at 3 a.m., soaking wet from autumn rain and trembling with exhaustion, the steel lanterns expect a runaway or a prank. What they don't expect is the raw desperation in his voice when he says, "Please, can you find my mom? She's been gone 3 weeks and nobody believes me." Sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't what you're running from, it's what you're running toward. And sometimes a child's faith in strangers becomes the only lifeline they have left. Welcome to the Biker Tales. If this is your first time here, you're watching stories about loyalty, courage, and the moments that reveal who we really are. To everyone who's been riding with this channel, thank you. Your support keeps these stories alive. Take a quiet second wherever you are and breathe. May protection surround you and those you love. May strength find you in hard moments. And may peace meet you right where you are. Now let me take you back to the night this story began. The Steel Lanterns Bar sits in the industrial district on the forgotten side of town, wedged between an abandoned warehouse and a chain-link lot where rusted shopping carts rest like monuments to decay. Most people avoid this street after dark. Inside, the air is thick with cigar smoke, stale beer, and the low rumble of voices that have seen too much to be surprised by anything. 3 members are hunched around a worn poker table under a single hanging bulb. The clock on the wall reads 3:17 a.m. When the pounding starts, it's frantic, small fists hammering against metal like a heartbeat gone wild. Then it stops, then starts again. Harlow straightens first, setting down his cards with deliberate slowness. He's a towering man with a shaved head that gleams under the dim light, shoulders broad enough to fill a doorway, and ink crawling up his neck. Stories written in symbols most people don't want translated. Boone, wiry and sharp-featured with restless eyes that never miss a detail, tilts his head toward the front entrance. "Kids?" he asks, voice skeptical. Vesper, the oldest of the 3, doesn't say anything. He just pushes back from the table, joints creaking, gray beard streaked with silver. His eyes, pale blue and carrying decades of weight, flick toward the door. He nods once. Harlow crosses the floor in 5 long strides, boots heavy against concrete stained with oil and time. His hand hovers near the deadbolt, ready to lock it again if this turns ugly. He cracks the door open 4 inches, just enough to see but not enough to invite trouble. Rain hammers down in sheets, turning the alley into a river of reflection and shadow. A kid stands there, 8 years old, maybe younger, blonde hair plastered flat against his skull, dripping water down a face smudged with dirt and exhaustion. He's wearing an oversized brown hoodie 3 sizes too big, sleeves hanging past his hands, and jeans soaked black from the knees down. His sneakers squelch with every tiny, trembling shift of weight. But it's his eyes that stop Harlow cold. White, terrified, pleading. Eyes that have already seen too much and are begging not to see more. "Help you." Harlow's voice is gravel and rust, designed to scare off trouble before it starts. Inside, the bar feels larger than it looks from the street. High ceilings disappear into shadow. Neon beer signs cast red and blue ghosts across walls decorated with faded concert posters and photographs of men on motorcycles from decades past. The air tastes like leather and whiskey and years of stories nobody wrote down. Boone grabs a towel from behind the bar and tosses it to Elias. The kid catches it clumsily, hands still shaking. He presses it to his face but doesn't move otherwise, standing in the puddle of his own, making like he's afraid one wrong step will break the spell. "Sit," Vesper says, gesturing to a bar stool. His voice carries the kind of authority that doesn't need volume. Elias sits. His feet don't touch the floor. Harlow leans against the bar, arms crossed, studying the kid with eyes that have learned to read people the way others read maps. "You said your brother told you she left. How old's your brother?" 19. His name's Dax. "And where is Dax right now?" Elias looks down at his hands. "Probably passed out. He's been different since Mom disappeared. Angry. He comes home late smelling weird. Sometimes he doesn't come home at all. Boone exchanges a glance with Harlow. The kind of look that says this kid's in deeper trouble than he knows. You walked 2 hours in the rain to get here, Harlow says slowly. Why us? Why not the cops? Why not a neighbor? Elias's jaw tightens. I told the cops. Twice. They said she's an adult and probably just needed space from being a mom. They said if she doesn't come back in 30 days, they'll file a report. His voice cracks. 30 days. She could be dead in 30 days. The words hang in the smoky air like a prayer nobody wants to answer. And neighbors, Vesper prompts gently. They don't care. Or they're scared of Dax. Or both. Elias looks up, eyes wet and desperate. But I heard people talk about you guys. About how you helped that family last year when their house burned down. How you found that missing girl from the high school. I thought maybe you'd believe me. Harlow feels something tighten in his chest. Belief. Such a simple thing. Such a dangerous gift to give a kid. You got a picture of your mom? Boone asks. Elias nods and pulls out a crumpled photograph from his pocket, protected in another plastic bag. He unfolds it carefully, reverently. A woman in her early 30s, dark hair pulled back, tired eyes but a genuine smile. She's holding Elias, younger, maybe 5, on her hip. Behind them, a birthday cake with candles. Harlow takes the photo, studies it. Corinne. How'd you know? Says it on the cake. Happy birthday, Corinne. Harlow hands it to Vesper, who examines it with the same careful attention he gives to engine rebuilds. Tell us what happened, Vesper says. From the beginning. Don't leave anything out. Elias takes a shaky breath and begins. The rain hasn't stopped. It drums against the metal roof like 1,000 fingers tapping out Morse code for help. 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 Boone sets a mug of hot chocolate in front of Elias. Made from a packet they keep for the rare times someone brings kids around, and the steam rises between them like a fragile bridge. Elias wraps both hands around the mug but doesn't drink. He just stares into it, watching the tiny marshmallows dissolve into nothing. 3 weeks ago, he starts, voice barely above a whisper. Mom didn't come home from work. She's a waitress at Danny's Diner on 5th. Her shift ends at 9. She's always home by 9:30. Always. And that night, Harlow prompts. 9:30 came, then 10, then 11. Dax called her phone, it went straight to voicemail. We thought maybe her car broke down, or she picked up an extra shift. But then midnight came and Elias's hands tighten on the mug. She never misses tucking me in. Never. Vesper leans forward, elbows on the bar. Did you call the diner? Dax did. They said she left at 9 like always. Walked to her car in the back lot. Nobody saw anything after that. Elias finally takes a sip of the chocolate, grimaces at the heat, sets it down. Next morning, Dax filed a missing person report. The cops came, looked around our apartment, asked questions. They said there was no sign of struggle, no evidence of foul play. Adults go missing all the time. She'll probably turn up. But she didn't, Boone says quietly. No. And then Dax found a note. Or he said he found a note. All 3 bikers go still. What did it say? Harlow asks. I can't do this anymore. I need time. Don't look for me. Elias's voice hardens. But it wasn't her handwriting. I know my mom's handwriting. I've seen it every day of my life, grocery lists, permission slips, birthday cards. That wasn't hers. Did you tell the police? They didn't care. They said handwriting changes when people are stressed. They said she probably did need a break. That being a single mom is hard. Elias looks up, and there's something fierce in his eyes now. Something that won't bend. But I went into her room. I wasn't supposed to, but I did. And I found her phone. He pulls out the plastic bag again, sets it on the bar like evidence in a trial only he believes is happening. It was hidden in her dresser drawer, under her socks. Smashed. Screen completely destroyed. She would never leave without her phone. Never. His voice rises. And she would never leave without telling me. She wouldn't. The desperation in those last two words could break stone. Harlow picks up the bag, examines the phone through the plastic. The damage is severe, not dropped, but deliberately destroyed. Multiple impact points. Rage damage. Dax see this? Boone asks. No. I hid it. I didn't know if I could trust him anymore. Why not? Elias goes quiet. The kind of quiet that has weight. Finally. Because the next day, he started acting like she'd never existed. Took down her pictures. Threw out her things. Started bringing people over. People I'd never seen before. People who scared me. And he got mean. Mean how? Vesper's voice is gentle but unyielding. Just mean. Yelling. Throwing things. One time I asked about Mom and he grabbed my arm so hard it bruised. Told me to stop asking. Told me she wasn't coming back and I needed to accept it. Elias's eyes fill with tears again. But I can't. I can't accept it because I know something bad happened. I can feel it. Harlow exchanges another look with his brothers. This kid's instincts are screaming, and they've learned to trust those screams. You did the right thing coming here, Harlow says, and means it. We're going to help you. Elias's face crumples with relief so profound it's painful to witness. Really? Really? Dawn comes pale and cold, leaching color back into a world that felt monochrome in the dark. Elias fell asleep around 5, curled up on the cracked leather couch in the back office with Vesper's jacket draped over him like a blanket. He's still out when the first light hits the windows, chest rising and falling in the deep rhythm of exhaustion finally given permission to rest. Harlow's been awake all night. So has Boone. They've been making calls, pulling strings, asking questions in the quiet network of people who owe them favors or remember when the steel lanterns pulled them out of their own darkness. By 7, they have an address for Dax. By 7:30, they're on their bikes, Harlow on his black Softail, Boone on his Dyna, Vesper riding rear on his Road King. Elias sits behind Harlow, arms wrapped tight around his waist, helmet borrowed from someone's kid who grew out of it years ago. The kid doesn't speak during the ride, just holds on. The apartment complex squats on the east side of town like a concrete mistake. Peeling paint, broken security gate, trash overflowing from dumpsters that haven't been emptied in weeks. They climb 3 flights of exterior stairs, boots echoing on rusted metal. Unit 3C, door slightly ajar. Harlow knocks anyway. Waits, knocks again. No answer. He pushes the door open. The smell hits first. Stale beer, rotting food, something chemical and sharp that makes Boone's cop instincts flare. The living room is a disaster. Pizza boxes stacked like architecture. Empty bottles. Clothes everywhere. A coffee table covered in residue and razor blades that tell a story nobody needs narrated. Dax is passed out on the couch, mouth open, one arm hanging off the edge. Early 20s but looking closer to 40. Gaunt face, dark circles, the unmistakable look of someone circling the drain. Stay out here, Harlow tells Elias, but the kid's already seen it, already knows. Boone moves through the apartment with practiced efficiency, checking rooms, documenting with his phone. When he gets to the back bedroom, Curran's room, he stops. The walls are bare, closet emptied, bed stripped, like she was erased. But in the dresser, exactly where Elias said it would be, Boone finds the drawer. Under the socks, few that remain, is something the kid missed. A journal. Boone opens it carefully. The entries are dated. The handwriting is hurried. Afraid. G called again today. 3rd time this week. I told him to stop. He won't. Saw G's truck outside the diner. He's watching me. Filed restraining order today. Judge granted it. Maybe now he'll leave us alone. He violated the order. Police said they'd patrol more. But I don't feel safe. The entries stopped 3 weeks ago. The last one just says, He knows where I live. Boone closes the journal, jaw tight. He walks back to the living room where Harlow's standing over Dax, who's starting to stir. Your mom didn't leave, Boone says to Elias, voice flat and certain. Someone took her. Dax wakes hard and angry, swinging before his eyes fully open. Harlow catches his wrist mid-swing, holds it firm but not violent. Easy. Who the hell? Dax's eyes focus, see Elias standing in the doorway, and something like shame flickers across his face before rage swallows it again. What are you doing? Why'd you bring these people here? They're helping me find Mom, Elias says, voice small but steady. Mom's gone, Elias. I told you. She left. No, Boone interrupts, holding up the journal. She didn't. And you know it. Dax's face goes pale, then defiant. You got no right going through her stuff. I got every right when a kid shows up at my door saying his mom's missing and his brother's lying about it. Boone's voice is ice. Who's G? Dax doesn't answer. Who is G? Her ex? Dax finally mutters. Garrett. They broke up last year. He wouldn't let it go. Where is he? I don't know. Bullshit. Dax stands, swaying slightly, and for a moment it looks like he might swing again. But then something breaks in him, maybe the last thread of whatever decency he's been clinging to. He's got property out past Millerville. Old farmhouse. I went there once, told him to leave her alone. He laughed. Said if he couldn't have her, nobody would. The words land like stones in water. And you didn't tell the cops this? Harlow's voice is dangerously quiet. I did. They said they'd look into it. But then they found the note and they stopped caring. Said she probably ran off with someone. That Garrett had an alibi for the night she disappeared. Dax's voice cracks. And I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle thinking she was really gone. So I just stopped trying. And started using. Boone finishes. Dax doesn't deny it. Elias stares at his brother like he's looking at a stranger. Maybe he is. Vesper, who's been silent this whole time, finally speaks. We're taking the kid. You're gonna check yourself into detox today, or I'm calling the cops myself and they're gonna find more than a missing person case when they come through that door. Dax nods, defeated. Yeah, okay. Harlow turns to Elias. You know this Garrett? I met him once. He came to the apartment when I was little. He and Mom fought. She told him to leave and never come back. He scared me. You remember what he looks like? Big, red beard, tattoos on his arms. Boone's already on his phone, pulling up Garrett's record through his old police contacts. When the photo loads, he shows it to Elias. That him? Elias nods, throat tight. Then we know where we're going. The ride to Millerville takes 40 minutes, cutting through farmland and forgotten highway. Garrett's property sits at the end of a gravel road that hasn't seen maintenance in a decade. The farmhouse is exactly what you'd expect. Peeling white paint, sagging porch, windows dark even in daylight. A single truck in the driveway, covered in mud and rust. They park the bikes a quarter-mile back, tucked into a grove of trees where the sound won't carry. Elias wanted to come. They made him stay with Rita, a woman from Vesper's church who fosters kids and asks no questions when the steel lanterns bring her someone who needs protection. Now it's just the four of them, Harlow, Boone, Vesper, and a younger member named Cade who's good with cameras. They watch and wait. An hour passes. Then another. The sun climbs higher, burns off the morning mist. Nothing moves except crows picking at something dead in the field. Then, just past noon, movement. A figure crosses past an upstairs window. Small. Female. Moving slow, like every step hurts. Boone has the binoculars. He goes still. That's her. Harlow takes the binoculars, looks. Even from this distance, even through dirty glass. He can see it. Dark hair, thin frame, the unmistakable posture of someone who's been hurt and hasn't been allowed to heal. We need to call this in, Vesper says. Boone's already dialing his old partner, the one who still trusts him, the one who owes him for that thing 5 years back nobody talks about. The conversation is brief. Coordinates given. ETA 30 minutes. But then Garrett appears. He walks to the truck, opens the bed, starts loading boxes. Moving her. He's moving her. "We don't have 30 minutes, Harlow says. They look at each other. The decision is unspoken but unanimous. They move. Cade and Vesper stage the distraction. Manufactured bike trouble on the road just past Garrett's driveway. Loud. Obvious. Impossible to ignore. Garrett comes out. Annoyed. Suspicious. He's bigger up close. 6'3", maybe 250. Hands like hammers. The red beard Elias described is flecked with gray now, but the eyes are the same. Cold, possessive, violent. "Help you?" he asks, voice flat. "Bike died," Vesper says, playing the friendly old-timer. "You got a phone I could use?" "Left mine back in town." Garrett doesn't move. "No." "Come on, man. Just one call. I got AAA." While Vesper talks, while Garrett's attention is pulled forward, Harlow and Boone slip around back. The rear door is locked but old. Boone has it open in 30 seconds. They move through a kitchen that smells like mildew and neglect, past a living room with furniture covered in sheets, upstairs that creak under their weight. The bedroom door at the end of the hall is the only one with a padlock on the outside. Harlow breaks it with a single kick. Inside, Corinne is chained to a radiator by her ankle. She's thin, too thin, bruises in various stages of healing across her arms, her face. When she sees them, her first instinct is fear. Strangers are not safety. Not here.
"I'm Harlow.
Your son Elias sent us. We're getting you out." At her son's name, something breaks in her. "Elias." Her voice is raw, disused. "Is he okay? Is he safe?" "He's safe. And he's been looking for you." Boone kneels, pulls bolt cutters from his jacket, snaps the chain. "Can you walk?" "I think so." She can't. Not well. Her ankle is swollen, possibly broken. Harlow lifts her without asking permission, cradling her like she weighs nothing. They move fast. Down the stairs. Through the kitchen. Out the back door. Behind them, they hear shouting. Garrett's realized. He's coming. They don't stop. By the time they reach the bikes, police sirens are screaming up the road. Garrett bursts from the house, sees them, sees Corinne, and runs. He doesn't get far. 2 squad cars block the driveway. Officers emerge with weapons drawn. Garrett goes down hard in the dirt, cursing, thrashing. But he goes down. Corinne watches from behind Harlow's back, shaking violently. "Is it over?" "It's over," Harlow says. She breaks. The hospital smells like disinfectant and industrial laundry. Corinne is in room 314, hooked to an 4, ankle casted, bruises treated, but alive. Police took her statement. 3 hours of reliving nightmare, and finally left her to rest. Elias sits beside her bed, holding her hand like if he lets go she'll disappear again. He hasn't stopped crying since Rita brought him to the hospital. Neither has Corinne. "I looked everywhere," Elias keeps saying. "I knew you wouldn't leave. I knew it. You saved me," Corinne whispers back. "You saved my life." Harlow, Boone, and Vesper stand in the hallway, giving them space. Through the window they watch mother and son piece themselves back together, one whispered word at a time. A detective approaches, Boone's old partner, a woman named Torres with sharp eyes and zero patience for bureaucracy. "We got Garrett on kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, assault." Diaz talking about adding attempted murder. The journal helped. So did her testimony. He's going away for a long time. "And the brother?" Vesper asks. "Dax checked himself into rehab this afternoon. Signed a statement admitting he suspected Garrett but was too scared to push. Could have faced charges for child endangerment, but since the kid's safe and he's cooperating." Torres shrugs. We're letting it go. For now. Boone nods. Fair enough. Torres looks at the three of them. Leather, ink, attitude, and shakes her head. 10 years ago, I would have arrested all of you just for showing up at a crime scene. And now? Harlow asks. Now I'm just glad you did. She extends her hand. Thank you. They shake. An understanding passed between people who live in different worlds but sometimes walk the same roads. Inside the room, Elias has fallen asleep in the chair, still holding his mother's hand. Corinne watches him with eyes that haven't stopped crying but have finally stopped looking afraid. She sees the bikers in the hallway and mouths two words. Thank you. Harlow nods once. They leave quietly. 2 weeks later, Corinne is released from the hospital with a walking boot and a prescription for therapy she'll actually attend. Rita helps her find a new apartment. Small, clean, on the 3rd floor with good locks and a doorman who takes his job seriously. The steel lanterns contribute to the security deposit without being asked. Vesper knows a guy who knows a guy, and suddenly the place is wired with cameras and an alarm system that would make a bank jealous. Elias moves in with her immediately, with Rita acting as temporary foster support while the legal paperwork sorts itself out. Social services is involved now, but they're actually being helpful, one caseworker in particular, a woman named Janine who seems to understand that this family needs support, not separation. Dax is still in rehab. 30 days in. He writes letters to Elias. Apologies. Promises. Hope that maybe someday they can be brothers again. Elias doesn't know if he'll forgive him, but he keeps the letters. On a Saturday 3 weeks after the rescue, the steel lanterns show up at Corinne's new apartment with groceries, tools, and enough food to stock her empty fridge for a month. Harlow fixes the drip in her kitchen sink. Boone installs a deadbolt on her bedroom door, extra security, just in case. Vesper sits with Elias and teaches him how to play chess. They don't talk about what happened. Don't need to. At one point, Corinne pulls Harlow aside. I don't know how to repay you. You don't, Harlow says simply. You just live. You take care of that kid. And if you ever need anything, you call. He hands her a card with a single phone number on it. She clutches it like a lifeline. 3 months later, autumn has burned itself out and winter is testing its edges. Corinne is working again. Different diner, safer location. Hours that let her be home before dark. Elias is back in school, making friends, laughing at lunch. There are still nightmares, still therapy sessions, still moments when the fear comes back. But there are more moments when it doesn't. On a Friday evening, the steel lanterns stop by for dinner. Corinne makes spaghetti. It's simple. It's perfect. Elias sits between Boone and Vesper, animated, telling a story about something that happened in science class. Harlow watches from across the table, and there's something settling in his chest he hasn't felt in years. Purpose, maybe, or just the simple satisfaction of having done something right in a world that usually rewards the opposite. After dinner, they teach Elias how to play poker. He's terrible at it, loses every hand, but he's grinning the entire time. Later, when the others have left, Harlow stands by the door, preparing to go. Corinne walks him out. He's a good kid, Harlow says. He's a brave kid, Corinne corrects. He saved both of us. He did. But he shouldn't have had to. No. But I'm glad he knew where to go when he needed help. She pauses. Thank you for being the kind of people a scared child thinks of when the world goes dark. Harlow doesn't have words for that, just nods. He walks to his bike, kicks it to life, rides into the night. Behind him, through the apartment window, he can see Elias and Corinne on the couch. Her arm around him, his head on her shoulder. Safe. Together. Home. Sometimes the people who save us aren't the ones we expect. Sometimes they're the ones society taught us to fear. And sometimes a child's desperate faith in strangers becomes the thing that changes everything. Elias's faith in strangers saved 2 lives that night. His mother's. And, in a way, his own. What would you do if a child showed up at your door asking for help? Would you listen? Would you act? Let us know in the comments. Stories like this don't make headlines, but they matter. If this story moved you, consider subscribing to the Biker Tales. Not for numbers, but so these moments don't disappear. And if you ever find yourself at the edge of a hard night, remember this. Sometimes help shows up where you least expect it. Ride safe. I'll see you in the next story.